thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Purport. There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super-self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Person, but at the same time he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Shripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karna Karnam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy, as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti, practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti, may be easy. But when it is practiced factually, according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpataya Eva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman-realized impersonalist or the Paramatma-realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Jashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyanti yat suraya. Mam tu vedana kaschana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says. And if one does know him, then samahatma sadurlabha, such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is, tatvataha, even though one is a great scholar or philosopher. Only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna, in the cause of all causes, in his omnipotence and opulence, and in his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore it is said, Atakshi Krishna Namadi, Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai, Sevan Mukhe Hijivadao Swayameva Spuratyadaha. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Manushanam sasreshu kaschidhyatati siddhaye, yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataho. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So there are many persons in this world, all engaged in various activities, and amongst all of these persons, there are those who are wondering a little bit, what is it about this material existence which does not give me any satisfaction? Or they may question, what is it about the material world that causes me to want to find something beyond this material world? Some persons, they are a little bit interested to just look beyond that which is obvious right before them, mainly this bodily existence. They want to just see something beyond it. That is a class of man who is 1 in 1,000. In other words, to even just simply be interested, to look a little bit beyond the platform of this bodily existence, means you're already 1 in 1,000. You're a special person already. Because most persons never even consider, not even for a short time, there's something wrong with this bodily existence, or that there could be something beyond it. They never consider it. They think whatever is there, there's everything, and there's nothing more than that. This is what they think. Now, of these different classes of persons who are all thinking of themselves that they are their body in different ways, we find them listed in the Bhagavad Gita as persons who are extremely interested in manifesting themselves as the supreme controllers and enjoyers, or persons who are just mudhas, working hard simply for the satisfaction of the senses, or those who are demoniac, even those who are simply searching for money, or those who are simply interested in improving their bodily health, even those who are interested in ruling the world, or even those who are greatly learned scholars searching after every kind of inconceivable form of knowledge. They are all mundaners, and as such are not any more special than any other form of mundane personality. Now that seems to be a pretty strong word, but in fact it is so. For only one who starts to look beyond the platform of this body and looks beyond the platform of this mind can be factually said to be progressive in the slightest sense. Of course, there are many who are trying to look beyond, but not with the idea that they are going to attain some spiritual realization, but simply with the idea they're going to do something far out, something which is going to give them some charge of energy or some powers or some experiences. So even such persons are still on the material platform, just a little bit more subtle form of the material platform. So at the point where you meet a person who's actually looking for perfection, some kind of perfection which is beyond this material existence, you are talking about a very rare person who's one of thousands. Manushanam sahasreshu. Somebody who's one of thousands. Not just an ordinary person. He's somebody who actually understands there is a perfection to achieve which is beyond this material world. There is something beyond the material world, and I want to get it. He's not even clear what it is. He knows it's just out there somewhere. So he's looking for it. Although his vision is unclear, his knowledge is darkened by ignorance. He's just trying to reach out and strive. That person is already one of many thousands. One special person amongst many thousands of persons. Now, if you take that one person out of that many thousands, then you take another one out of many thousands, then you take another one out of many thousands. And in this way you gradually accumulate thousands of such persons. Only one of 1,000 of such persons will achieve perfection. And that perfection still will not mean, in general, that they have received Krishna. maybe Brahman realization. Remember, of the group trying for perfection, it is not that everybody will attain it. Only a rare person will attain it. And of those persons who have attained a platform of perfection, Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagawan realization, only one of them may know Krishna in truth. Therefore, one who knows Krishna is called Samahatma, Sudurlabha, a very rare soul. Mahatma, a great soul, because this person has overcome the most difficult bondage of Maya to come to the platform of actually being able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means, amongst millions of persons, if you find such a rare personality, you are very lucky. Therefore, it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that this material world is a very, very difficult place, because every living entity is tepi satantyam urudamni badha, tied around the waist and legs by the ropes of Maya, which are very tight and keeping us from understanding the Supreme Personality. Maya is very clever. Illusion is very strong. Maya knows exactly how to keep us from surrendering to the Supreme, or how to keep us from attaining the real perfection of life. Even when one is a mystic yogi, engaged, let us say, in some process, very spectacular process of mystic yoga, there are tests even involved in that. Just like in the mystic process, one receives mystic power. So, at the point that one receives the mystic power, that's a test. And factually, it is a test of Maya, because mystic power means great enjoyment. After all, if I can create something, poof, then I can first of all impress everybody how wonderful I am, that I can create things. And second, I can use those things for my material enjoyment and have whatever I want. Therefore, it's a very, very impressive thing. Mystic power. You get very attached to it. And therefore, sometimes, in fact most of the time, mystic yogis become simply attached on this platform, and they just use these powers up to the point where they deplete the powers because of their engaging in sense gratification. Then they fall backwards again. Backwards. They have gone forward so far, but then they become very much attached by all their mystic perfections. Then they deplete these perfections, because these are powers which are stored up. There's a stock of supply, like a battery. You use the electricity, and after a little while, it's finished. So the mystic yogis, after a longer time, because they're not like a battery, they're more powerful, they use up their powers, then they fall backwards again into the more mundane platforms. So Maya has captured that person. For the mystic yogic process is not really meant for just getting mystic powers, but is meant for elevating far beyond this material world to the spiritual sky. Therefore, Maya, seeing that this person is attempting to break free from the prison house of the material world, captures that person with the shackles of material opulence, and he surrenders to that and falls back again. You know, in a real prison house, if you start to climb out over the walls, the guards, they have instructions to shoot you, because you're not allowed to escape, and if you try and do it, they shoot you. Maya does not shoot you with bullets. Maya shoots you with the arrows of lust. And in this way, one, because Maya is much better at this than the guards of a prison house, Maya shoots you with the arrows of lust, and then you voluntarily think and say, I want to go back to the prison house. I like the prison house. I want to stay in the prison house. So then you just go back to the prison house. So Maya is much better at this. She doesn't have to shoot you and kill you. She just, all of a sudden you become bewildered and say, yes, what am I doing trying to escape from the prison house? I must be crazy. And then you come back into the prison house of material existence. So Maya captures even very advanced transcendentalists that way. First of all, in the mystic process, Maya captures by making one attached to the mystic perfection. Yeah? Then, Maya may also attach one by making one attached to the, let us say, Brahman. That one is thinking that he is God. Even one has gone way up to the Brahman platform, where he sees all oneness everywhere. He sees no longer any differentiation between any material thing and any other material thing. He sees all spiritual souls as part of that one undivided unity of spiritual energy. But it is called the last snare of Maya, because after Maya has failed to pull that person down in different ways, and that person has actually climbed up on top of the wall of the prison house, and is just about to leap off forever, Maya captures him by making him think he's God. He's up there on top of that wall looking down. Then he starts thinking, look where I am. And then he starts thinking of himself as God. And by thinking of God, that I'm God, Maya has captured him, and because of the offensive attitude, and because of neglecting the service of the real Supreme, after staying there for some short period of time, he falls back down again. Patantyadho nadricha. Yushmat angraya. Because he's neglected the Supreme, he falls back again. And falling back down, he is deprived of his big position. And then he takes up again some philanthropic work or some charity works or some good for mankind kind of thing. Because he cannot maintain that spiritual platform without any positive engagement. Therefore, Maya has captured that person too. So Maya captures everybody, but sometimes there is a very rare soul. Kechit, kevalaya bhaktya. Kechit means somebody, not everybody. And as we have understood from these definitions in Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere, somebody means the most fortunate person. The most fortunate person who has actually managed to conquer over the bondage of not only birth and death, but also the bondage of the attraction to the heavenly planets, where everything is so nice, and beyond the attraction even to the higher planetary systems, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, Satyalok, and even beyond that, he has become freed from the Brahman effulgence, where he is thinking himself to be God. Some person who has managed to avoid all of the contaminations of all of the opulence and mystic perfections and all kinds of attractive features of the material world may actually be only attracted to serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana. He's simply interested in serving that Supreme Personality of Godhead without any other idea in mind. Because he knows for sure Krishna's glories. Mahatmanas tu mam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadima vyayam. Such a personality, who is the real Mahatma, is a Mahatma because he's taking shelter of the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of God. And he's worshiping the Lord with totally fixed mind. because he knows that Supreme Lord to be the original personality, the one from whom this entire cosmic manifestation has come, and Avyayam, the non-deteriorating, inexhaustible Supreme. After all, although so many complete units emanate from the Supreme, he still remains the complete balance. He is still that supreme whole, no matter how many units emanate from him, no matter how many universes emanate from the pores of his skin, no matter how many universes are floating on the side of the causal ocean like little bubbles of foam. The Supreme Lord is still complete. After all, in any case, what's a couple of bubbles of foam? That's so small. But that's not the reason why the Lord is complete, due to the negligible loss of ingredients due to the universal creation. No. He's complete because that universal creation is within him. That creation of the planets and the universes, that creation of the entire existence, is all within that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is within that Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing outside of Krishna. In fact, everything is within Krishna. Krishna, therefore, is known as the Supreme, Complete, Absolute Truth, the Supreme Whole. Om Purnam Adak Purnam Idam. Because in fact, everything is within him. He is beyond this whole material creation, for the whole material creation is within him. All things are within me, but I am not in them. Everything is within Krishna, but Krishna himself is not necessarily within everything. He is, of course, within everything as his unmanifested form, the Supersoul. But he is not in his personal form within this material creation. Krishna himself is far beyond this material manifestation. He is staying in his eternal planet, in his eternal abode, and he is quite satisfied, enjoying with all of his devotees there. He is complete there. But we require to associate with that Supreme Lord in order to exist. Therefore, as Super Soul, he enters within our hearts, and he gives us remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness, and also directs us in our wanderings from one body to another. And that same Supreme Personality of Godhead, although in his unmanifested feature is pervading and supporting everything, is far beyond still in his own personal abode, enjoying his personal relationships with his devotees. And yet everything is within him. That's pretty mystic opulence. Therefore he says in the next verse that, behold my mystic opulence. Although everything is manifested, and it is not within me, at the same time it is within me, because everything is within me. Now, that is inconceivable. It is not possible to conceive how Krishna is far away in the spiritual sky and separate, in the sense that he may even dance with his devotees. That means he's an individual, and there are other individuals who are playing with him. So that means he must be different than them in one sense, at least. Otherwise you cannot dance with yourself. Yeah. So, yet, on the other hand, everything's within Krishna. Now this starts to get confusing. How is it possible that Krishna is simultaneously different from everything, and at the same time everything is not different from him, because everything is part of him? Therefore it is explained by Lord Chaitanya when he discussed this with the impersonalists, because the impersonalist class of man, they use this question to show that everything is actually one. There is no individual existence of Krishna. But Lord Chaitanya said, the Supreme Absolute Truth must by nature include the infinite and infinitesimal simultaneously. If that Supreme Absolute Truth would not include both the infinite and the infinitesimal, it would not be complete. The Supreme Absolute Truth is complete because he includes both the infinite aspect and the infinitesimal aspect. In his infinite aspect, he is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the infinitesimal aspect, he is us, the living entities, and all the emanations from his energy. But they are nothing but his energy. Therefore, it is a complete whole. And that complete whole is Krishna. But you never think of Krishna alone. In fact, Krishna is never alone. He does not stand alone. He is always together with his associates. Are you reading on Prophet? He is always together with his associates, always enjoying together with the cowherd girls of Vrindavan, the cowherd boys of Vrindavan, Mother Dashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the other elderly gopis of Vrindavan. He's always enjoying. You never see him alone. Krishna is always together with his associates. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known in terms of his associates as well. In fact, his names are derived that way. Just like we call Krishna Yashoda Nandana. Now, the name means the beloved of Yashoda. That means there's a name for Krishna based on his relationship with his devotee. It's like Krishna and Arjuna on the chariot. Partha Sarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. And Arjuna himself is known in terms of his mother, Partha, one who comes from Prita, Kunti. So we find that Krishna's names are, many of Krishna's names are in relationship to his devotees. Even the names we give Krishna are in relationship with his devotees. After all, we understand Krishna in terms of his devotees, in his pastimes, in the spiritual sky. Although Krishna may also be understood in terms of his capacity as the cosmic creator and the cosmic maintainer and destroyer as well. Even though we have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva to take care of these things, it is in fact Mahavishnu who's the real creator and destroyer. For he creates all the universes by his breathing and destroys them again by his breathing. It is in fact the Supreme who is the original source of the whole creation and cosmic manifestation. Everything is situated on him as pearls are strung on a thread. He is in fact the length and breadth of the threads of the cloth of this material existence. Krishna is in fact the whole fiber and substance of the material existence upon which everything rests. So, in fact, there is nothing but Krishna. And we are also tiny Krishnas. I remember once Prabhupada was saying, so you want to be Krishna? Well, you're already little Krishna. But you must understand, the little, not that we are big Krishna. You are a little, tiny portion of Krishna. You are little Krishna. That means a teensy, 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 infinitesimal, tiny, 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 tiny spiritual spark. But as soon as you even mention such a thing to persons, you are a little Krishna, then one starts thinking, where's my flute? Where are my cowherd girls? You can't even say this to people anymore. You're a little Krishna. They become so crazy. You just mentioned in the slightest way you're Krishna. Even if you tell them you're a teensy little infinitesimal nothingness. But as soon as you in the slightest way mention or even imply in a little bit tiny way that you are Krishna because you're part of Krishna, then immediately the mind says, yes, I'm God. I knew it after all. I knew if I just stuck with this philosophy long enough, I'd get to the real point. So, in fact, this is again Maya trying to capture the conditioned souls who think of themselves as Krishna all the time. But in fact, Krishna, we are part of Krishna. We have come from Krishna. We can be nothing else. In fact, there can be nothing else anywhere than Krishna. However, Krishna is also giving us that freedom to act according to our perverted desire, if we so much care about it. Because if we speak about how everything is in one sense Krishna and nothing but Krishna, then the materialists, they start to say that then Krishna must be bad, because why does he let so much bad exist in this world? How can he allow so much evil to be there? If everything is Krishna, then Krishna is evil because there's so much evil. But factually, all good and bad must exist within this creation of Krishna. But Krishna is only allowing it because we want it. He must create it, of course. But he creates it according to our desire. If you want to live in hell, so Krishna creates the hell for you to live in. It's you who wanted it, so he gave it to you. If somebody says, why does Krishna allow me to take what I want? Well, then he's saying, why isn't Krishna a fascist who just forces me to do everything? Krishna is giving you complete freedom to do what you like, to love him or not, or to act in any way or not that you like. Therefore, if you want hell, Krishna will make it for you, and then invite you to enter into it. And if you want, you will go. You cannot blame Krishna. If you want to turn this whole planet into a hellish place, which in fact they are doing very rapidly, then you cannot blame Krishna. He simply gives the planet and gives everybody the intelligence by which they may destroy it as well. Then they all act in different ways to create havoc and destruction. But they must suffer their own results of karma as well. And therefore, terrible things happen to people because of their karma. But this is, again, you cannot blame Krishna. He simply gave you the opportunity. It's like the parent. He gives the sandbox to the child. He gives this child to play shovel, this child to play truck. And then if the two children start picking up the sand and throwing it at each other, and one bashes the other on the head with the shovel, the other bashes the other on the head with the truck, you can't blame the parent. Of course you can use the shovel and the truck to bash each other on the head. That is certainly one use of the thing. But that's not the purpose. The purpose was that one shall make the roads and the other shall drive on them. It is a question of the children not accepting the real purpose of the things which they have. Even though they know that they should want one with the shovel, one knows he should dig the truck, the other knows he should drive. They know that. But because of the desire in the heart, they get envious towards each other. And so, Krishna gives this planet. He gives instruction. We know what we should do. But then we become envious and start to use everything to destroy each other, and thus ourselves as well. And thus the ignorant condition just keeps on increasing more and more, and more suffering conditions come, and more people are disturbed, and more agitated. This must go on that way. Therefore, nobody should blame Krishna. It's our own fault. Whatever is occurring and happening, we can only blame ourselves. We cannot blame Krishna. For if there were restrictions like that, and Krishna did not allow us to do what we wanted, then we would curse Krishna again. Why he does not allow me to do what I want? Just consider Krishna's very delicate position in relationship to the living entities. When he doesn't allow them to do what they want, they get angry at him. And when he does allow them to do what they want, they ruin themselves and get angry at him. But of the two positions, to allow them to do what they want is better than to not allow, because when somebody gets to the point of loving Krishna through freedom, as they like, by acting in freedom, by free will and choice, they want to surrender to Krishna, then that free will, that free love, that free choice gives them a great connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they're actually able to surrender to the Supreme. And that is very pleasing to Krishna. Because that free will, that free choice was there, and they've accepted that. And they've accepted that and turned towards Krishna to love him again. So therefore, that is superior than being forced. After all, if Krishna had to force us to love him, or if Krishna did force us to love him, then there'd be no need for the material world. But the love wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be real. It's just like the love some woman might have who's 25 years old for an 80-year-old man who's a billionaire. We find this very, very old man, practically useless, gets married to a 25-year-old girl. Why? Everybody knows why. She's just waiting for the old guy to die and then take all of his money and inheritance. She doesn't care. She knows 5-10 years he'll be finished. Then she'll take everything and then be rich like anything. It beats working for 10 years. Yeah. So, in the same way, I forgot the point. What was my point? Oh, the love wouldn't be real. I got so much absorbed in the image of this cheating. The love wouldn't be real. If there's love like that, that's just cheating love. It seems to be love, but there's no real love to it. Unless it is real, you can't enjoy that. Yeah. Everybody can also see the falsity in that form of love. It's got no real taste to it. Yeah. Therefore, we should understand Krishna is very merciful to allow us this complete freedom. But we should not use that freedom to simply exploit the material nature and try to satisfy these material senses and forget about Krishna. We should understand Krishna has given us freedom, but now we have to be mature, responsible, and very careful to make sure we utilize this human form of life to develop again our connection to Krishna. We've got freedom. But if we misuse that freedom, then we have no one to blame but ourselves. We've got freedom, and we should use it to be responsible, to go back to the spiritual abode where we belong. That freedom is Krishna's gift to us. Now we have to use it. And nobody can force you. It's like nobody can force anybody in this Krishna consciousness movement to become or stay Krishna conscious. You must do it on your own. We give you all help. Huh? You get philosophy. You get books. You get service. You get prasadam. You get a haircut. You get a dhoti. You get everything. There's nothing you don't need. Everything's there. But one must want to surrender. We cannot make you surrender. We cannot give you surrender. It's not like a dhoti. You can't hand it out. You can't hand out surrender like this. One has to take it. By his own desire. Take this surrender. Take this service. Then he will be able to surrender to Krishna in pure love. So, although only one person out of many millions may be able to surrender to Krishna, you can easily become that one person since you're already within the association of Krishna's devotees. One just stays in this association, engaged in the process of hearing and chanting and remembering and serving Krishna. If one is just always trying to develop his love for Krishna, he will be able to elevate to that platform where he's that one in a million. We're not saying that just because you put on a dhoti and get a haircut, that you are that special, special, special person of persons. But we say the all possibility is there to easily become that person. And if one just sticks to this process and doesn't give it up, then by sticking to this process determinedly, dedicatedly, he will be able to attain the lotus feet of Krishna in due course of time, without a doubt. After all, if you're serving Krishna your whole life in love and devotion, you're only trying to please Krishna, you're only trying to satisfy Krishna. Do you think Krishna is so ungrateful that he will just kick you away at the moment of death because you didn't remember him, for instance? No, he will force his way into your mind and heart. He will not tolerate that your bodily condition is preventing you from surrendering to him. He will just push his way into your mind, into your heart. And even if it's steel encased, don't worry. Krishna can pierce that steel without any difficulty. Krishna is stronger than the strongest, and smaller than the smallest, and subtler than the subtlest. He can enter even into your steel-like heart, believe it or not. Although you may put up all kinds of tridents, and cement walls, and steel walls, and safes, and boxes and boxes trying to hide your heart away and prevent Krishna from entering into it, don't worry, he's more stronger than you are. But of course, one must be sincere to serve Krishna. Then he will gradually give you the opportunity to understand how we should not try to hide ourselves away from Krishna. We should try to somehow make our service so nice and our whole lives so nice that we attract Krishna, and Krishna becomes attracted by us. And thus, he will be very pleased to bring us back home, back to Godhead at the end of life. So we should go on this way, hearing and chanting, remembering, serving, and above all, engaging ourselves in the preaching mission. And we will, without a doubt, be able to conquer Maya and head back home to the spiritual platform, to the spiritual sky, and be eternally engaged in the loving pastimes with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, Hare Krishna.